All right. Now, okay, so welcome to the Backyard Bible Study. It's always an awkward start. Gets good though. So, first thing I want to start by doing is praying. If anybody have any prayer requests, you say them now. If not, okay. All right. Cool. All right. So
I have one
go ahead.
about everybody to do well with
Business.
LTD.
Oh yeah, we're all, everyone here.
Find lots of customers.
I appreciate that. You're so knowledge.
Any more?
I pray I get a job because I feel.
Okay. That it?
How you doing?
All right.
I'm on.
Dear Lord, we come to you humbly, thanking you for this day. Lord, I pray that everybody who is in the business that I'm in with me, I pray that they would all thrive and that you give them the purpose that they need in this business. Lord, I pray for Ronald and him getting a job. I pray that you would help guide and direct his steps and help him grow and give him the lessons needed to keep a job. And Lord, I thank you for the gift of each beautiful day and evening that you've given us and blessed us with. Lord, I thank you for the food and the water that you provide. I thank you for every breath that you bless us with, because it all comes from you. Lord, I pray that you would help guide, help, and direct, and show your amazing and unending and unfailing love to the people who didn't and don't and can't show up. And I pray for the ones especially who don't talk about the struggles that they're facing, that you would comfort them and fight for them, and let them know that your Son Jesus is worthy and can give peace, peace that passes all understanding. Because your word says in Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God which passeth all understanding shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Lord, I pray that you would let those people know that your word says in 2 Corinthians 12:9, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Lastly, Lord, I pray that you would help these people and I to apply the things that we learn from your word and what it says to our own life, that we may follow your Son, Jesus Christ. It is in Jesus' powerful name I pray. Amen. So, there's a video I had posted a few weeks ago about prayer and the Bible, and they were separate. But prayer is basically how we talk to God. If anybody wants to, have a relationship with Jesus, you can't do it without prayer, because that's how you talk to him. And then his Bible, there's a few other ways, is how he talks to us. And it's a constant cycle of conversation. And so there's Charles Spurgeon. He's a famous theologian, was once asked, what's more important, prayer or reading the Bible? In which he responded, what's more important, breathing in or breathing out? You need both to live. You need prayer to talk to God. You need the Bible to know what God says about such. There's a Bible study I posted on YouTube if you want to check it out. It goes more in depth about prayer and what it is and what we should do about it. So what are some traits about ourselves that we can ask God for and work on in ourselves? I have some listed, but there's more. I know there is. But first one I listed was humility. But see, when we pray for humility, expect him to give you situations to either be humble or prepare yourself to get humbled. The Bible says in Matthew 23:12, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. There's a lot of times in this world that we tend to exalt our own selves, and then we wonder why we get humbled. The Bible states this clearly, so it stands the test of time. Love. You could possibly expect God to give you situations to forgive and love the ones who hate you, which is not easy, but it's something that could happen. And it's all about looking through a lens, and not of brokenness, but of what Jesus gives you. So it's a gift that you can offer someone. Love. So good. And then patience. When you pray for patience, expect delays. which develops in turn patience. There's two words that the Bible considers to be patient as well. Forbearance, which is patient, self-control, restraint, and tolerance. And long-suffering means having or showing patience in spite of troubles, especially those caused by other people. I'm going to explain 3 trends of this world that this world and the Bible have in contradiction to each other. Number 1, this world says to stick up for yourself. But Jesus says in Matthew 5:43 and 44, "Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you," I love this because it's Jesus talking, Jesus is the truth. "But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." That in this world, in our human body, goes against the grain of our very being. A lot of times it is so easy to get riled up or hurt and then lash out on someone because they did us wrong. But Jesus said, "I say unto you, pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." Jesus said, if someone were to slap you on the cheek, turn to him the other cheek. If a man offers you to walk a mile, walk with him 2. So that's the first one. The second one, the world says to stay true to yourself. Be yourself. We've all heard it. But Jesus says in John 8:12, "Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life." One thing I love about this book is that it's a book of truth. If I could give one word on what this book is, it's truth. So every scripture I'm talking from is truth. The world also says to follow your heart. Whereas in Jeremiah 17:9, it says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? We're not called to follow our heart. That's not a biblical teaching. Anybody saying so is lying to you. Lead your heart. And I'll go even a step further. Allow Jesus to lead your heart, because you don't know it. The Bible says, who can know it? Now, I think there's been a big misunderstanding with a lot of people and Christians, and that we follow Christianity. I don't follow Christianity, okay? Christianity has been used to justify the Salem witch trials, the Inquisitions, and the Crusades. I follow Jesus. There's a difference. I follow the one who is worthy of following. Jesus is the lifeblood of the church. Without him, nothing makes sense at all. And I noticed an analogy in that because I was actually looking at that today. Everybody has a heart, and the heart regulates and pumps blood throughout the body. In the same way, we are called the church body. Well, then who's the heart? Jesus. A body cannot thrive without a heart. A church cannot thrive without Jesus in the same exact way. And he's the only way that a church will thrive. If you do wrong all the time, are you worth following? If you say you'll do something and don't follow through on it, are you worth following? If you say things that go against the grain of this world, but that conform to it, are you worth following? No, you're not. You're a hypocrite. Your word means nothing but dirt, and you conform. You go against the opposite of what you say. Nobody likes that. Jesus, though, has a track record of never doing wrong and always being right. He has a track record of following through with everything that he promises. He's never broken a promise. And he most certainly said things that went against the grain of this world. I love this. So John 15:13 says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." You can't have a greater love than that. That's what Jesus said, and that stood the test of time. That's universally agreed upon. Jesus did exactly that. He laid down his life for his friends, and when he did, it wasn't just a bullet through the neck. It wasn't just, a gunshot. It wasn't just him dying of old age. He was brutally mutilated, very badly beaten for you, because he loved you. Martin Luther King is not the one who calms me down. Billy Graham isn't the one who commands the storms to be calm. Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Napoleon Hill, and Abraham Lincoln didn't take stakes in their hands and feet dying for me. Jesus did. Confucius, these African false gods, crystals and gems and sage and jewels, and Muhammad did not have a crown of thorns slammed on their head. I know what you're thinking. It wouldn't hurt or bother a crystal if it had gotten a crown of thorns slammed on its head. And I'll tell you this as well. It wouldn't care if you died either. So then why do you put your faith and hope in it? Now I'm going to talk about a miracle that Jesus did. If you want to open with me to John 11. This is something only God can do. I'm going to talk from what I consider and what the world should consider as a book of truth, as I said before. And before I get started, I want to point out that in this world, in this culture and society, whatever you feel please calling it, that the truth is starting to be taught as subjective, which is very much a lie. It's very much a fallacy. The truth is objective. And I'll give you an example, okay? So this can of excess, you want to know more about what that is, hit me up. So this can of excess is purple, right? Now it's like, let's put it on a stand. And in about 2 years, people are going to start calling it blue. Well, it's not blue, right? That's how this world is starting to be. It's starting to be that this can is blue, and then in the next 2 years, it might be yellow. But that's not true. The truth is that this can is purple. In the same sense that the truth is objective. It's not subject to opinion. There's a quote, "A man with an experience is not at the mercy of a man with an opinion." But anyways, the truth is objective. It is what it is, and it's nothing else. All right, so we're going to read John 11. And keep in mind, patience. So John 11, verse 1. We're going to read the full chapter. Now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus, of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. So that's pointing out who it was. It was Mary and Martha's brother. Verse 3. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, remember this verse, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. So there was the reason. There was a purpose behind this. And in the moment, Mary and Martha didn't know why. In the same sense that there's a lot of trials and tribulations that we go through that we don't know why. Verse 5. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days in the same place where he was. Then after that saith he to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. 8. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Meaning, Jesus just came out of a place that wanted to stone him, and this is where you get into Jesus' strength. How many times have we wanted to not want to go somewhere because we know that either there's nothing good for us, or there's nothing to gain here, or wherever we're going, and the people hate us. So we don't want to go there. I understand. I know your pain. I know how that feels. But Jesus was strong. He went into Judea, right into, I don't want to say battlefield, but where these people wanted to stone him. People think a lot of times that Jesus was weak. It is far from it. And so his disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee. Basically, they're saying, why would you want to go in there again? They want to stone you. Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. Now, I'll get into that verse and what it means in a bit later on. But then he said, But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. These things said he, and after that he saith unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth. Lazarus is dead, guys. Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Meaning, well, he's going to be great. If you're coming to him and he's going to awaken. You're going to be there, Lord. Verse 13, howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. They thought that Jesus was meaning that he was just sleeping. Talking about Lazarus. And then verse 14, then Jesus saith unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. He's not alive. But he's probably, stinking and, he's been dead. But he knew. He knew. He wasn't even there. He was in Judea. Verse 15, and I am glad for your sakes that I was not there. So that proves it wasn't there. To the intent ye may believe, nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Verse 17, then when Jesus came, and he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Lazarus has been dead for 4 days by this point. When Jesus showed up, he was dead for 4 days already. Verse 18, now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, nigh meaning near, about 15 furlongs off. How far? And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Many of the Jews who sought to stone Jesus. Those Jews. Right? Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. So Martha went to Jesus. Mary sat still in the house. A lot of people react to different things. I love how the Bible doesn't hide that stuff. It shows it right there. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been there, my brother not had died. She was sad because Jesus was not there. And she knew that Jesus could heal because it says right there, if thou hadst been here, my brother wouldn't have died. Just by Jesus being there. She knew it. Verse 22, but I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Meaning she knows that Jesus is God. Jesus saith unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Huh. Some powerful words there. He's been dead for 4 days. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went her way and called Mary, her sister, secretly, saying, the Master is come and calleth for thee. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him, running to him, I bet. Got out of her chair and ran to him. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha had met him. The Jews then which were with her in the house and comforted her, right? These Jews that wanted to stone Jesus were here trying to comfort her, right? Here comes Jesus. And then when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, she goeth unto the grave to weep there. That's what these Jews are saying. She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Makes sense? Her brother died. Her brother died. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. So you hear it again. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned, get this, Jesus groaned in the spirit and was troubled. You're not listening. Jesus groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And said, where have ye laid him? While he was groaning in the spirit. They said unto him, Lord, come and see. And then the shortest, but one of the most powerful verses in this entire Bible. Verse 35, Jesus wept. People think Jesus was weak, but Jesus was a man. And I want to ask men watching this, I want to ask men listening to this, what is a man? What is a man? What are my mouse trying to try? Shia LaBeouf, who was in one of the actors in one of my favorite movies, Transformers, but was in an interview and said, asked the same thing. What is a man? When do you become a man? When is the point in which you become from a boy to a man? You know, you could think like, is it when you get your first $1 million? Or it could be, you know, when you start driving, when you get your first car, or when you get married, you have your own kids and wife and house and car and money and all this stuff. Maybe it's when you get all that, you know, at the same time. No. You become a man when you become responsible for other people. Jesus is the manliest, most masculine man ever to walk this planet. Let me explain. Jesus died for everybody. Past, present, and future. Everyone that has ever existed. I think it's about 118 billion people. Died for every single one of them. All of them. I'm going to go quickly because I have a whole 2-part video of this. But the crucifixion. But it's very, very bad. So, when Jesus was being, and I'm, again, like grain of salt here. I'm not talking about much. There's so much, though, that he endured. Whipped 39 times. 234 stripes across his entire body from head to toe. He was laughed at, spit on, by the same spit he created, mocked, laughed at, brutally mutilated, very badly hurt, and embarrassed and naked. He was acquainted with grief, better than anybody knows, and all silently. And Jesus wept. He was crying. So, for people who hear grown men don't cry, Jesus was a grown man, and he cried. Here's the miracle about it. Jesus knew what he was going to do. He knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead, and yet he brought himself from where he was at. You know, he was going to do this. Didn't say to anybody what was about to happen. That's where you get into his humility. He didn't talk about what he was about, the miracle he was about to do. Didn't tell anyone. Instead, he got on their level, in which they were weeping and crying, and cried with them. He felt their pain. He felt their grief. He felt their suffering. The Bible says in Isaiah 53:3 that he is despised and rejected of men. He is a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Jesus was well acquainted with grief. And anything telling you that he doesn't know what that's like is lying to you, because this is the truth. And in John 11:35 it says, Jesus wept. Verse 36, then said the Jews, behold how he loved him. And some of them said, could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus therefore, again groaning in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus wasn't walking up to that grave like, oh, look what I'm about to do, dude. You know, I'm about to raise this man out of death, bro. No. He groaned in the spirit. He was troubled. He was crying. He was weeping. He was hurt. Mary and Martha, who he loved, was hurt. And he felt their pain. He had compassion for their suffering. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. Jesus saith unto her, here's that verse I was talking about, verse 4, when I said, remember it. Said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believed, thou shouldest see the glory of God. If you remember back in verse 4, it says, this sickness is not unto death. That's how it starts out. Jesus promised that this sickness was not unto death. He knew everything. He knew exactly every detail. He knew Lazarus was going to die. He knew he was going to stink. He knew he was going to be dead for 4 days. He knew it. He was in complete control. If thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, saying, Lazarus, come forth. And I imagine as dark as it is now, a few hours later than this actually, it's as dark as it was in that tomb. And Lazarus being wrapped in grave clothes like a mummy, a napkin around his face, comes out walking, perfectly fine, walking after Jesus just commanded this man of dead to come forth. And he did. Didn't even have to touch him. Didn't even have to see him. That's how powerful he is. In verse 44, and he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound with a napkin. Jesus saith unto them, loose him, and let him go. And they did. And he lived, because Jesus healed him. Jesus not only healed him, he raised him from the dead. There's a lot of things in our life that we think are dead that can never be revived. But Jesus, in this story, healed a physically dead man from death. If he did that, imagine what he could do in your life that you think is dead, that you want revived, that you know should be revived. He told them that this sickness was not unto death, but he had patience with them. And that's why I title this, Patience Over Progress. Because sometimes our progress doesn't look like it's getting far. But if we stay patient, nose to the grindstone, it'll breed results. John 11:9 said Jesus used the proverb, are there not 12 hours in the day? As I was going to explain later, to convey that his life and ministry on earth had a divinely appointed time. It had purpose, it had reason. And as long as that daylight continued, he was safe and could not be harmed by his enemies. Trusting God's timing, even in delays. Romans 12:12 says, rejoicing in hope. Guys, hope doesn't always have to be a thing. Hope isn't always a thing that happens because you're expecting something good or you know something is about to happen. You have hope even in the trials, even when it feels like you have no hope. Patient in tribulation. Patience in the storm. Continuing instant in prayer. There's a good story about patience. Genesis 37-50 talks about Joseph and the coat of many colors. Now Joseph had a lot of brothers. And Joseph was put by his own brothers, his very own blood brothers, cast him into a pit. They carried him and threw him in a pit. Like shoved, punched, probably kicked, and shoved him, carried him into a pit. And they threw him in it so that he couldn't get out. And then they deceived Jacob, who was their father, and said, he hath died. No, they laid him in a pit, and they put blood, lamb's blood, over his clothes, and brought the coat of many colors that his father had gifted him to their father, saying that he had died. A bear or something must have ate him, or he could have died. But what they don't realize, what Joseph may or may not have realized, was that God was there with him before he was placed in the pit, while he was in the pit, and after he got out. In the same way that he's there for you before a trial or problem arises or comes, during and while the problem is happening, and after it gets solved. He's there for you through it all. And if you want purpose, if you want to know how to get through it, I would say faster. Have Jesus on your side. Lock in with Jesus. Because here's something here it talks about like it happening for a long time. I've talked to a few people about this, but you'll notice that when Israel disobeyed, it took 40 years for them to finally get in right standing with God. Whereas Jesus, the Son of God, when he was being tempted by Satan, only took him 40 days. So if you want it to last longer, that's fine. Keep God out of it. But if you want to be filled with purpose, you want to know how to overcome evil, you want to know how to get through a tribulation, you want to know how to have purpose, right? Something that a lot of rich men don't even have or feel like they have. Lock it with Jesus. I'll give you a story about a dog expecting treats, right? So there's this dog, and he wanted so this man has this dog, right? And he tells him to, all these treats, like he gives him these treats every time that he does a trick. Right? So like he tells the dog, "Hey buddy, sit." And he gives him a treat. And he does it. Tells him, "Roll over." Does it, gives him a treat. Tells him to spin. He spins, and he gives him a treat. And then he tells him to lay down. But when he tells him to lay down, he doesn't give him a treat. Tells the dog, "Speak." He doesn't speak. Because the owner didn't give him a treat. In the same way, we tend to ask God for certain things, or for this to happen, or this to go well, and then when it doesn't happen, we get mad at God. To see the very good things happening in life, all good things come from God. Don't expect blessings when you pray. Don't ever expect good things to come. You expect God's will to be done. That's what matters. That's spiritual growth. I used to have a hobby of some sort, and one of the many things I learned in that hobby was that people will test you, your strength and your patience. If it is to help grow, if people test you and it's to help grow, they are a friend. But if it's to weaken, destroy, or embarrass, they're not a friend. Know how to filter. Arnold H. Glasgow said, "The key to everything is patience. You get the chicken by hatching the egg, not by smashing it." Meaning that it takes time. If you just are patient, right? Because the people who smash the egg are never going to get the chicken, right? When you give your life to, all right, this is what I'm ending now. When you give your life to Jesus, it fills you with more riches and purpose. Purpose which is something even the richest of people wish they had. Jesus is the only person who gives true purpose. And when I say only, I mean that. The Bible has a verse on that. I'll say it in a second. More than this, earth can ever start to try to provide. Because a homeless man who has a personal relationship with Jesus is much, much richer than a godless millionaire. Because the homeless man will die gaining heaven and all the things thereof for eternity. Eternity. Something that we can't comprehend. You've never done anything for eternity. There's nothing that you've ever done. No choice you've ever made. No nothing ever that's ever lasted eternally. We can't fathom it. Our brains can't fathom eternity. Even the smartest and richest of men have no idea what that's like. For eternity, heaven for eternity is what the homeless man that knows God gains. While the millionaire has what he has for an instant, but a breath. And then sadly enters the gates of hell for eternity because he didn't know Jesus personally. Not heard of him. Do you know him personally? I can hear about Donald Trump all day, but if I don't know him personally, I don't know him. It's like if I were to walk up to his house. You know, I'll get to that here in a second. But the two constants in this life are time and change. But in heaven and hell, there is no time. It doesn't exist. Because when something is eternal, it has no time to bind it with. The fact is that one day we will all be dead, just like how Lazarus was. If you look to your right and you look to your left, you'll realize that one day we will all be 6 feet in the ground. And I'm deathly serious when I say this. Not to hear another word of this world or touch an item of this world ever. Matthew 6:19-21 says, lay not, again, truth, book of truth, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Now, there are two places that we will go to. There's no second chance, and there's no in between. A place the Bible calls hell, and a place the Bible calls heaven. Do you know where you're going? You know 100% without a shadow of a doubt where you're headed? Jesus said in John 14:6, this is what I was talking about only. Jesus saith unto them, again, truth, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Nobody gets to heaven except through Jesus. And if you don't know him, Jesus made it clear that if you want to enter heaven, it is only through him. No good work that you can do, no other religion or idol will help, no amount of gratuity, good deeds, or character you think you can have can get you to heaven. Because on Judgment Day, if you didn't know Jesus personally, you will sadly not be entering the pearly gates of heaven. It's like this, like I was saying earlier, Donald Trump. Let's say that Abraham Lincoln, right? Let's say that I did all these amazing things for his campaign. I told people about him. You could correlate this really well with the gospel and Jesus. Let's say I did all these things for his campaign. You know, I donated money to the campaign. You know, I talked about him all the time. You know, I had posters. You know, I had a necklace about him. I had things that he said with me at all times. But I never knew him personally. Let's say I go up to Abe's house. I knock on the door. Hey, what's up, Abe? He looks at me, he goes, who are you? I don't know you. It's in the exact same way. Jesus will either say two things to everybody who comes to his presence after they die. He'll either say, well done, thy good and faithful servant, enter now into the kingdom of heaven. Or he'll say, depart from me, for I never knew you. Key word, never knew you. You worker of iniquity, prepare now for the gates of hell and the lake of fire. Jesus is very clear about that. It's not sugar-coated, it's not whitewashed. It's plain and simple truth. If you want to personally know Jesus, talk with me or after the Bible study, or get with a trusted Bible-believing church that can show you how to get saved by the one who died for you, Jesus Christ. Don't wait, make haste. Because get this, hell is full of people who thought that they had one more day would come, one more hour would come, or one more chance would come. You could leave here and get in a car wreck and die. That's it. It's life as you know it. What mattered? Nothing. You're not carrying anything. Things of the earth and things inside of you. None of it. The only thing you're taking with you is your spirit. And it's either going to two places, heaven or hell. There's proof. In Ecclesiastes 7, verse 2, it says, it is better to go to a house of mourning than to a house of feasting, right? Because for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Meaning that it's better to go to a cemetery rather than a party. Because at one place and the other, you think about life more. You think about the importance. What matters really, truly. Because when we lay our head on our pillow and you feel empty or dead inside, by now you cannot ask why, because I just gave you the why. Jesus is always knocking at the door of your heart, wanting to be your friend. In Proverbs it says that there is a man who sticketh closer than a brother. And it's talking about Jesus. Jesus is always knocking at the door of your heart. Will you let him in? That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and that was it.
Oh, I've killed at least 15 mosquitoes.
Yeah, there was a lot. Was it recording?
Yeah. I
Awesome.
made sure, that's why I got up.
Yeah, I figured.